I'm your best friend, Bee, and I say break it off.
Break it off.
And we just got a tornado warning issued for part of the area here. This is for Clark and Scott County. Tornado warning just issued. This goes until 2:45. This is the line of thunderstorms that we've been watching moving through, and the back edge of the storms have kind of intensified here a little bit over the last few minutes. The one area now where we have a tornado warning here is for Clark and Scott County, and this is really on the tail of the storm. I hate to actually say this, but the storm is heading towards Henryville with some rotation. So if you live in Henryville, I need you to take your tornado safety precautions immediately. Also near Otisco through the Charlestown area. Go into your interior room, stay away from windows. You want to get underneath something sturdy in that center part of the house if you can. The area of rotation basically right now is heading almost over the Henryville area. I've got Jude Redfield in here with me. Jude, I'm going to take it over to Storm View 3D, and you've been kind of looking at that storm. That rotation on this storm that's kind of on the back edge just intensified over the last couple of scans.
Yeah, it's going to be right at mile marker 19 there on I-65, right over Henryville. This greatest rotation, strongest winds, whether or not we would get a tornado, but the strongest wind indicator is right on top of the city of Henryville, moving off to the east-southeast pretty quickly at around 40 miles per hour. So that rotation over the town of Henryville, this will stay north of Memphis. At least the highest wind potential and threat will stay north of Memphis, and then start to hook down in between Otisco and Charlestown in the coming 5 to 7 minutes. You're going to want to take those necessary precautions. A lot of people probably waking up this morning as we head up into Clark County, coming out of Scott County with this tornado-warned thunderstorm as it moves off to the southeast rapidly, with that rotation being noted right on top of Henryville. You can see the red and green, definitely signs of rotation. I would say that about 5 minutes ago, as we go back, I'm just kind of watching this thing evolve, we had some very good indicators right there as we were about 3 miles west of Underwood. I think that's exactly what prompted the tornado warning, and then going ahead to time right on top of Henryville now, seeing that rotation pass off to the south and east, Mark.
And the National Weather Service here says basically that the Scott County storm had spun up really quickly, where most of the rotation was aloft, but it came down into lower levels, and that's why they went with the tornado warning here. Jude, how are we looking on the correlation coefficient? Are we looking at any indications that there could be debris in that? Okay, at least at this point right now, we're not seeing any rotations. Traditionally, what we look for is we would look for kind of like a circular hole within those pinks there. We're not really looking at that in particular. Just north of Henryville is where that area rotation is. As we go back over to Storm View HD here, I'll give you a track here. Basically, the storm right now, the most concerning area right now. So Henryville, if you're listening right now, take your tornado safety precautions. Time frame puts it basically in Henryville now, 21 minutes from now in the Charlestown area. So Charlestown, be prepared here at least to know what you would do if the storm holds together. As Jude mentioned, the rotation was a little bit better as it was just west of the Underwood area, and we've seen that rotation come down just a little bit as it's moving over Henryville. A good sign. Still, we just want you to be careful here. We're talking about 2:23 in the morning, in the middle of the night, and when you got obviously the potential for a tornado in the middle of the night, we just don't have that ability to see any ground truth here. That storm's going up on the western edge of the line. Now, that if that holds, that would then go into the LaGrange area. So we've got storms right now just northeast of Louisville, north of Louisville, that are strong to severe. This one doesn't look like it would have the potential to get into, let's say, south or central parts of Jefferson County, but the northeastern part of the county, obviously, we've got that area right over Henryville. Rotation right now, Jude, looks like from radar we're probably talking about 60-mile-an-hour rotation, and latest radar scan just coming in there on Storm View 3D shows that rotation still notable here. You know, it looks like over Henryville, I'm seeing about 62-mile-an-hour winds on one side of the storm. On the other side, I'm looking at about 7. So, Jude, we're looking at about 70 knots or about 75-mile-an-hour rotation on that storm right now. Just now moving onto the southeastern side of Henryville and continuing its movement off to the south and east. And Jude's been looking on that over on Storm View HD. This is a look at where we have our watches and warnings in effect. Tornado watch in effect for Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings County till 3, a.m. And then until 5 a.m., we've got the rest of our area, with the exception of the far southern counties, under a severe thunderstorm watch.
That rotation is going to be onto Henryville-Altisco Road. The strongest wind indicator now about half mile to a mile east of Henryville, and it's actually just now going to start raining in Henryville. Mark, possible debris signature?
That could be a problem here. It looks like just southeast of Henryville. I'm going to take you over to Storm View 3D right now. It does look like we may be getting a debris signature showing up here on radar. This is definitely a concern here. So just to the southeast of Henryville, where you see that darker blue, that is what we refer to as a tornado debris signature. That could be some damage that was done in Henryville as the storm came across the city here. So I am concerned that we could be seeing a tornado debris signature. What that means is that the tornado could have hit something and caused some in the area, some debris to be lofted. Jude, you see the same way as that, maybe
right
a TDS?
There. This is what Mark is indicating now, right on top of 31. This guy is really tightly wound and compact, but definitely the indication that there could be a debris signature right on top of that rotation. We'll match it up with the rotation. Remember, green comes towards the radar all the way down to Fort Knox. Pink and red is away, so this is spinning up right there. It's just crossed through downtown Henryville with a possible touchdown. We don't know. It's very early in the morning. We're going to have to wait to see how the reports are. But moving off to the east, and now with this latest scan, it doesn't look as tightly wound as what we had maybe 1 to 2 minutes ago. But certainly something's going on here as it just moved out of Henryville. And we're watching that now about a mile to the east of 31 and I-65.
And that is at least a good signal here. And I've got out on Twitter asking if we're getting any reports of damage in the Henryville area. If you're in Henryville, let me know on Twitter, Mark Weinberg WX. Again, do this safely, but let me know if you have any damage in your area. We did at least briefly get what looked like some type of a debris signature as that storm came out of the Henryville area. Still seeing rotation right now, moving southeast to Henryville, not quite as strong, but this is just to the north of the Memphis exit by about 1.5 miles here. So just to the north of the Memphis exit by about 1 mile or so, we're looking at rotation. And Jude's showing you when we scope into that storm, that area where we're seeing some spinning. This is definitely a supercell. And the rotation kind of popped up real quickly on this storm, so it could potentially do that again. Jude, take me out a little bit if we could go just wider, just so we can show kind of the whole perspective here. I know people in Louisville are probably a little bit nervous about what to expect here, so I want to show that perspective of what's going on. The western edge of this is really the end of the storms on this initial batch. Then we're going to see another potential cluster that will move across the area as we go towards the, let's say, 4 to 5 a.m. area. Those are coming out of Illinois. So this really is the main show right now for our immediate area. And then Jude, near Terre Haute, that's probably going to squeeze us as you go towards your morning show in the 4 to 5 a.m. time frame.
Right, exactly. And we're focusing on the cell that's now into Clark County, moving through Henryville. It's a couple miles now to the east of Henryville, at least the strongest indicator where we had that possible tornadic signature, finding some of that rotation still showing up on Stormview HD radar. But it popped there. It's kind of popped a couple different times right before the warning was issued up in southern Scott County as it was moving towards Interstate 65. It just popped once again as it moved through Henryville. This is one of those times of the morning where people are asleep. You wake up to your weather radio. You hear the tornado sirens going off. If you're in Clark County, good morning. It's now 2:28, heading towards 2:30 in the morning. Let's get you caught up here. We had some rotation indicated on the radar moving through Henryville. That rotation is now a couple miles to the southeast of Henryville and moving quickly to the southeast. If you're in Charlestown, Runyontown, this is moving directly at you. It might not even be raining right now if you're close to Charlestown or Runyontown, but you're actually going to get into a calm period before some of that rotation, which is indicated on the radar, starts to swing through your area. So you want to get into a basement, obviously, if you have that. And you know what to do to keep yourself safe. Get to the center part of your house, away from all the windows. Put as many walls around you as possible, as we do have this radar indicated tornado warning. There's been a couple signatures that we've seen at times where this velocity has popped a little bit of stronger rotation. Now finding that not quite as strong, but still a broad rotation just to the east and southeast of Memphis.
You know, and the nice thing about radar now is we go into what's referred to as sales mode when there's potential for severe weather. And what sales mean is that the weather service is basically the radar spinning in the lower levels more frequently. The reason this is important is it's going to give us a view into where we could potentially get a tornado. Jude's kind of noted on there where we see this. This is about 2 miles to the east-southeast of Memphis, or about 1 mile to the west-northwest of Charlestown right now. The radar does not show that debris signature that we saw a little bit earlier, which is a good sign here. The storm track puts it in 4 minutes in Charlestown, Goshen 12 minutes from now, and 15 minutes in the Skylight area. I'm going to go over to Storm View 3D here, show you 2 panels, and I'm going to take that back down to 1 so we can look at rotation. And I'll back you up as the storm moved through the Henryville area so you can get a kind of sense of what we're talking about here. Notice the rotation there was more notable as we looked northwest of Henryville. As the storm got towards Henryville, you can still see where the greens and the reds are right next to each other, still solid rotation, in particular as it came out of Henryville. And then as it moved towards the Memphis area, that rotation is coming down just a little bit here. So that's a positive. Still seeing that hook on the storm here. And we briefly had what was that debris signature, Jude, as it looked like it moved through Henryville. If indeed that was a debris signature, it could have done some damage in Henryville.
And it looks like as you go back over the last few minutes, watch these scans, it looks like it's almost trying to seek a little bit farther due south instead of that southeast motion. So we might actually be straddling this tornado warning line as we head closer to Memphis. So even in locations outside of the tornado warned area, as we go towards Sellersburg and just off to the east there in between Charlestown and Sellersburg, we could see this rotation prompt a new tornado warning outside of where we have that current tornado warning, as it's actually starting to move more to the south-southeast as opposed to southeast. So that's something to keep in mind. But you have a lot of green. We don't have as much red on this latest scan that just came in 5 seconds ago, which is positive, but there's still some signs of some weaker rotation embedded in here. Definitely a strong wind potential where we could get some damaging wind gusts up and over 60 miles per hour heading towards Charleston right now, and Memphis up towards Henryville. We're getting drenched with those torrential downpours and heavy rain. If you're watching from Henryville, we had some rotation. It's already moved through. We're in the clear from the possible tornadic winds there. We're heading down towards Charlestown, over towards Sellersburg in this zone, right on that red line there of the tornado warning area, where there could be some weak rotation noted at this point. This will continue to the southeast towards the Ohio River, seeking out Oldham County, with the next locations in the path of this damaging thunderstorm, at least the potential for some damaging winds.
And that really, I'll show you again as we go out to the wider perspective so you can kind of get a sense of what's going on here. Lightning show is virtually continuous, and this is one of the things. I mean, you will see lightning out of these storms. A lot of people are saying like they have not seen in a long time. And it's interesting as you look at that storm as it came out of the Seymour area. And let me go back to the last hour so you can kind of get a better sense. You'll notice there really wasn't much lightning, and then all of a sudden it just blew up. I mean, really, really blew up as it moved off towards the south. We had that brief area where the rotation intensified quite a bit. We still remain under a tornado warning here for Clark County. The tornado warning was canceled north there, but now for Scott County. So only Clark County under a tornado warning until 2:45, which is 13 minutes from now. We have seen from a velocity standpoint that rotation come down just a little bit, but still somewhat noticeable on radar. You know, I also agree with what Jude was saying in a sense that the storm does appear to be tracing the really extreme southwestern part of that warning here. So that is something to watch. Potentially, if it tracks a little bit further to the west, that could put it on the edge of that, and again prompted a different tornado warning, kind of as Jude was alluding to earlier. And lightning strikes, Jude, there's been 20,000 lightning strikes in our area over the last hour. You drove in during it. Absolutely a complete light show out there.
Yeah, it's constant, and you can see this from Jefferson County. You can see it from all the way down into Bullitt County, heading down towards E-Town. You're going to look off to the north and northeast and see some of the most wild lightning strikes in ages. I mean, just crazy amounts of lightning embedded in these thunderstorms that are producing flash flooding as well. But talking about the chance of this rotation possibly spinning up a tornado, Doppler radar indicated tornado warning as we go from Memphis over towards Goshen will be in the path of this. This looks to head towards Oldham County Right now, it looks like most of Jefferson County, all the way up towards Prospect and far northeastern Jefferson County along 42, would miss out, but still, it is a close call, so this is something where you need to keep watching it carefully.
And it's definitely a supercell. I mean, you can see with the body of that storm looking at it, it shows a classic scenario of a supercell. It does appear that it's somewhat rain contaminated near the Charlestown area. What happens here is these thunderstorms will feed off the warm, moist air to the south, and when you start to get some rain that can move into the thunderstorm, into that rain-free base, that can actually weaken the thunderstorm a little bit. So if you look at the body here, here's the body of the thunderstorm, the area where the tornado warning is, in this particular case on the western edge of it. But you can see here, not showing a distinct hook as much, and notice near Charlestown, somewhat getting rain contaminated here a little bit. Jude's got Storm View 3D on here for us so we can, velocity so we can take a look at it. And what you can see here is the velocity where the greens and the reds are next to each other, not looking quite as good. And then on the back edge here, the storm may be reforming on the back edge right now, and then pulling down towards the south and east. Jude, let's go back just a couple frames. You can see near Henryville, green, red, really close to each other. This is when I think the storm was rotating at its best, and then moving towards the south and east. As that storm continued, it looks like that rotation is coming down just a couple of notches. I wouldn't say let's go ahead and let our guard down, but I would say that the rotation is not as strong as it was earlier. Look, it looked like it may have produced some type of a signature on radar as it moved through Henryville. We'll have to find out tomorrow when we get surveyors out there. But right now, I don't think that rotation is near as intense near Charlestown. Jude, and the storm may be going through one of its cycle phases.
It's definitely gone to a unidirectional, one-direction kind of wind that we're seeing embedded in that thunderstorm right now. You don't want to say, forget about it, there's no way we couldn't get a tornado, but certainly completely different apples and oranges to what we saw when it crossed through Henryville. Let's get some good news out to everyone that's in the town of Henryville. The last few years, everyone's been on pins and needles. Right now, that tornado warning has expired for the city of Henryville. We can give the all clear. That thunderstorm is now through. There is no threat for any tornadoes within a mile or two of Henryville. The worst of it is now down to the southeast, closer to Charlestown. If you're watching from Charlestown while you have a tornado warning, we're finding the biggest threat at this point in time at 2:36 on this Tuesday morning coming from the form of some straight line winds. Now this could cycle and possibly showcase a little bit of a rotation again. But as we watch this thunderstorm that still has a tornado warning ongoing, we're finding the best chance coming from any damaging straight line winds as opposed to rotating winds.
And it looks like we have finally kind of hit that flash point. You go near Indy, we've got severe thunderstorms right now. Bloomington through Terre Haute, there's thunderstorms. We've kind of been waiting for the storms to flash over into a scenario where we would get widespread severe weather or at least widespread thunderstorms, and I think that is finally occurring. Bloomington through Terre Haute, there's quite a few thunderstorms right now. These are all going to be moving into an atmosphere that is extremely unstable. In the springtime, we'll see fuel for thunderstorms that can be, obviously produce quite a bit of severe weather. Tonight, I got to tell you, the amount of energy out there is far, far superior to what we normally see in a spring scenario. So this is a really, really energetic scenario. And there's quite a bit of wind energy. There always has been wind energy. It was just a question of when and if those storms were going to fire, and they clearly have. So that severe weather threat, if you're looking at Louisville, I'd say between 4 and 5 a.m. on that second line. And then we've got to watch the area of thunderstorms right now that is coming through Clark County and could impact the northeastern part of Louisville. So there's two waves here. Jude's showing you lightning strikes. I mean, just unbelievable amounts of strikes.
13,000 lightning strikes extending through parts of Illinois right down into Kentucky. And again, updating this thunderstorm as we take the lightning off so we can actually see inside this. The tornado warning continues for a few more minutes. This will be for Clark County. If you're waking up in Clark County right now because the tornado sirens have sounded, maybe your weather service radio has gone off, let me show you what's going on with this storm. It's right on top of Charlestown with pounding rain. But as we go inside and look at the winds, we have some positive news to pass along to everyone in the fact that we're not seeing the same kind of rotation signature, but it still shows quite a signature for some damaging straight line winds.
And for what it's worth, we have the emergency manager out of the Charlestown area, and what he is saying is all that they're getting from a report standpoint is intense lightning. Number two, the National Weather Service just said that they will allow the tornado warning to expire on time, assuming nothing significant happens between now and then. Basically, what they're saying is the same thing that Jude and I have been saying. The rotation looked more intense as it was near Henryville. The rotation has come down in intensity somewhat as it's moved towards Charlestown. It doesn't mean that it can't spin back up, particularly areas like Goshen and then Crestwood. We need to watch that storm if it tried to spin back up. But right now, we're not seeing anything in terms of significant rotation. Damaging straight line winds would be the main threat. And I don't even think that we're probably going to get those damaging winds. It was just that it spun up briefly right over the Henryville area. You know, Jude, it's real interesting. You know, you and I worked March 2nd, obviously, in 2012, and it's almost impossible to say the name Henryville without kind of feeling a sense of a connection back to what occurred in 2012. And anytime rotation goes near Henryville, there's part of, at least me, you know, that just feels, I don't know, just a tug at my gut. It's a difficult area to talk about.
Well, and especially when it's around 2:30 in the morning and everyone are sound asleep, and all of a sudden you start to hear the sirens. We go back before the tornado warning was issued, Mark, and this is what prompted it right there. A couple miles just to the northwest of Henryville is where we had some of that rotation. The green coming down towards the radar, the red going away, a clear signature moving right through Interstate 65 and 31, passing along still that tornadic signature around the town of Henryville as it continues its journey to the southeast. As we take you in time, some broad rotation, and it's still there. Now as we get closer to the real time, as we head at 2:40 in the morning, all of these winds spreading out in one direction, that large area of green, some very strong winds in this thunderstorm, but in one direction, racing down to the south and southeast. So the damaging wind potential, 50 to 60 miles per hour coming at us from the northwest to the southeast, heading into Oldham County. We see no signs of possible tornadoes at this point in time near Charlestown or anywhere in Clark County. The worst of the rotation has already occurred, but it will cross the river, and we have a strong to severe thunderstorm that will impact all of Oldham County. If you're watching from Jefferson County, if you're watching from southern Clark County, Floyd County, you can see a ton of lightning. This will miss us. This is going to miss us by a few miles, the lightning and the heaviest rain, at least the damaging lightning potential where you talk about being struck or impacted.
And you just got a report here out of Buckner in Oldham County, and they're saying right now that there is hail falling within the thunderstorm. Looking at Storm View HD, let me kind of get an estimate if we've got some hail size in there. Yeah, absolutely. That may need a severe thunderstorm warning on it right now between Goshen, basically along the Buckner exit here. The hail's moving in. Radar estimates of hail size right now. I will say that Storm View HD can tend to overestimate hail size a little. Shows about 1.5 inch hail. I don't think that's probably occurring, but I think 3/4 inch hail could be occurring right now. If you live near Buckner, along the 71 area between Crestwood, Buckner, and LaGrange, I think you need to prepare for at least some small hail that's moving through your area. I know that a lot of people are going to be without TV. Remember, I will be on Twitter. We will be on Facebook, so you can kind of stay with us that way, and we always stream through our website anytime we have cut-ins, so you can kind of follow us in multiple ways.
And this thing is going to straddle the Oldham-Jefferson County line. You know, from Prospect to Goshen, we're going to pick up some heavy rain right on the tail end of this, and there's probably going to be some gusty winds, some outflow winds that come out of this as we go right along that Oldham-Jefferson County line. So this will head down towards Hurstbourne Parkway, the Springhurst area, and this will, I think, go right towards the outer Gene Snyder periphery there as it meets up with 71 over towards Interstate 64. So anywhere from around, I'd say, 4 miles to the east of J-Town, Middletown, Eastwood, and all points to the north and east, we're going to get some heavy rain in the next 5 to 10 minutes and some gusty winds. The core of the storm will stay put in Oldham County, but definitely watching the chance for some damaging straight line winds right now. We look for the chance of hail that could be around 1 inch in diameter right across Oldham County.
And we just got that warning that we talked about, Jude, the potential. We had kind of mentioned that we thought that Oldham County should go under a warning. Just got the latest here from the National Weather Service, and this does include now the eastern part of Jefferson County. You know what, I think since we're in the middle of the night here, Jude, I think since we're, talking in a heavily populated area, probably makes sense to stay with the storm in case we actually were to see some type of a quick spin up within the thunderstorm here. Let me show you what we've got from the latest warning here from the National Weather Service. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning, the tornado warnings for Clark County, the severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby County until 3:10 a.m. So until 3:10 a.m., Jefferson, Oldham, Shelby County, severe thunderstorm warning. The warning here is for the potential for winds to 60 miles an hour, at least some small hail to the size of pennies. There continues to be other issues out here. In Jefferson County, Indiana, we are getting a lot of reports that flooding's occurring here with some of the thunderstorms. And this is something we really haven't mentioned too much. But you know what? I think we need to start to be thinking also, Jude, a heavy thunderstorm moved through LaGrange earlier, another one moving through LaGrange right now. The potential for flooding in Oldham County seems to be going up here pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, what's on top of Oldham County right now is going to drop an additional inch of rain from LaGrange down towards Crestwood. That's right along 71 there. An additional inch of rain on top of an inch or two that we've seen over the last couple of hours. Thankfully, this should be it for a while. Once it does move through, that tornado warning should be expiring right now.
It is expired.
That has expired. Tornado warning has expired. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that extends for the far eastern and northeastern sections of Jefferson County, essentially all of Oldham County from LaGrange and points down towards the Jefferson County border, and this will extend into Shelby County. Watching for the chance of some hail. Something that's really popped up in this, Mark, is some of those hailstones being detected by the radar, possibly to an inch, inch and a half in diameter, right on top of Goshen, near LaGrange, Pee Wee Valley as well. You know, and the good thing, at least from a course standpoint, a lot of times what we'll look for is the purples within that thunderstorm. Not seeing that right now here, so that means that the probably the potential for destructive hail not really that high, but the potential for, as Jude mentioned here, we're talking about hail up to the size of 3/4 of an inch, maybe up to an inch, which would be up to about the size of pennies, moving along the 71 area here. Now, I know obviously a heavily traveled area. If you have friends here that are basically traveling LaGrange exit, Buckner exit, Crestwood exit, you need to be prepared for hail to the size of pennies. The rain's going to be basically blinding to the point that you're not going to be able to see anything, and the lightning strikes have just been absolutely off the chart here. Rotation, not looking at anything strong from a rotation standpoint, but Jude's showing you a core of winds. Notice they're all the same color here, looking at all greens, telling us that we're looking at winds in the neighborhood of 50 to 60 miles an hour. In Buckner right now, expect strong winds. I think with all the rain that we have seen, up to 2 inches of rain here, on 2.5 inches of rain just on Sunday, and in the month, we've basically seen nearly 7 inches of rain over this area. It is not going to take much to cause significant flash flooding here. So LaGrange through even around the Simpsonville area, we've got to watch you closely. Jude is tracking the area where we had the rotation. 6 minutes in Utica, 10 minutes Middletown. In the Douglas Hills area, 19 minutes. In Normandy, 30 minutes from now. Although the rotation is weakened off quite a bit here, that if the storm was to re-intensify from a rotation standpoint, that would be it. And Jude, if you look closely, you can actually see it's riding that boundary. Notice the boundary is right through Louisville. And that's the boundary that was left over from the initial storms that fired yesterday. That western storm is basically riding that boundary. And a lot of times when storms ride the boundary, you will see an enhanced area for rotation within the thunderstorms. I think that's why we're dealing with what we saw, that quick spin up. And we're still going to watch locations just now getting into the thick of things from Prospect, taking you down towards the Springhurst area as we head towards the Paddock Shopping Center. That location will be getting some gusty winds, very heavy rain. And thankfully, we still don't see anything that suggests any new tornado formation, but some damaging wind potential is there up to around 60 miles per hour for far eastern, northeastern Jefferson County, Oldham County as this storm moves to the southeast. It's almost like a missile, a heat-seeking missile, as it looks for some of the unstable atmosphere that hasn't been touched yet, and that's Jefferson County. And that's why these things are actually trying to backbuild a little bit and move almost more to the south and west. It's moving into Prospect. So along the Gene Snyder there from around mile marker, let's say 17 up towards 29, we're about 3 to 8 minutes away from picking up some extremely heavy rain, gusty winds, and the possibility for some smaller hail, although the better hail chance will stay underneath the core of that red and orange as we look up into Oldham County towards Crestwood and LaGrange. And I just got a report here on Twitter here, which has become incredibly valuable here. We just got a report here. Adam Campbell here has said he's in Henryville and they're all clear in the high school area. So that's at least a good report out of Henryville. It looked like there was a small potential debris signature that showed up on radar as the storm went just off to the south of the downtown Henryville area here. You know, anytime anything is close to Henryville, it kind of makes all of us nervous at this point right now. And I'm sure residents, for you, it's probably
10 times worse than it is for us as we're watching. But we do want to let you know, storm is well away from Henryville right now. Core of the storm is out of Clark County. The storm that we're watching is now moving into basically eastern Jefferson County, moving all along 71. It is taking up Oldham County. Rain's intense on the storm right now. And then if it's to produce some hail, I think that would be occurring just to the south of LaGrange, just to the east of Crestwood. Simpsonville, you've got about, let's say 12 minutes or so till the storm gets to your area, with the potential for damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour. So near Simpsonville, I need you to be prepared for some really strong winds. I know it's the middle of the night. You're probably going to be wakened by the thunder, the lightning, the heavy rain, and the small hail. Winds up to 60 miles an hour are possible in your area. With all the rain we have seen, it really only takes about 50-mile-an-hour winds at this point to produce damage, because the ground is just so saturated from the thunderstorms that we've seen over the month of July. It's been an unbelievable month for rain. I'm going to go back over to Storm View 3D. Jude's been kind of spending some time analyzing the storm. Jude, rotation-wise, looks like maybe something starting to reappear near the Goshen area.
Yeah, it looks like that, and that's embedded right underneath some of that heavy rain near the hail core as well. What we're going to look at, I know this is not representing rain. This is actually representing how the rain is moving inside the thunderstorm. The green, winds coming towards the radar down in Fort Knox. The red is away. There's definitely some stronger winds near I-71 in between Goshen and Crestwood in these locations. That red going that way, green going away. Some broad rotation, something to keep an eye on. And then as we look down to the south, this large area of green, this bright green, some stronger winds. It could be in excess of 50 miles per hour. That's moving off to the southeast. This is all one direction, moving down to the south. While it doesn't show signatures of tornadoes, it does show signatures of some strong winds. Oldham County is really the jackpot zone for the highest probability of picking up some damaging winds right now. We do have this severe thunderstorm warning that extends into eastern sections of Jefferson County, locations where it's not raining. This is Gene Snyder right there. It's not raining, but this back edge of the storm will actually seek its way to the south and move right along the Gene Snyder Freeway there over the next 10 to 20 minutes. So it's going to move from the northern side all the way down to the south side, closing in on J-Town in around 10 to 15 minutes. But the worst of this thunderstorm will straddle the Jefferson-Oldham line and then head right over towards Simpsonville, towards those outlet shopping malls there. We're going to pick up some gusty winds, at least 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. The chance for hail underneath all of this bright red. So where it's pouring down rain right now in Oldham County is where there could be some hail up to around an inch in diameter, which is severe characteristics. Anchorage in 11 minutes, Middletown in 16 minutes, Veach in around 35 minutes as this guy moves off to the south-southeast at around 40 miles per hour. Right now, Mark, no tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning coming from a supercell on the backside that did prompt that tornado warning 15 to 30 minutes ago as it moved through Henryville.
You know, and the storm is showing some hail signatures here that are moving across Crestwood through LaGrange, and we did get some reports earlier out of the Buckner area that we had hail to the size of maybe some pennies that moved through there. The National Weather Service, on their latest update here on this storm, they're continuing basically with a severe thunderstorm warning, winds to 60 miles an hour. This is for eastern Jefferson County, parts of Oldham, and then Shelby County until 3 a.m., 3:10 a.m. You know, the thing that we kind of figured about this is we're talking about the middle of the night. You know, we can kind of continue with, I don't even know what show's on at 3 o'clock in the morning. Do you, Jude?
No idea.
But we kind of figured if you're waking up in the middle of the night, maybe you should wake up if you're wondering what's going on. Rather than kind of seeking out the information, we wanted you to be able to just turn on WDRB. Again, middle of the night, we kind of figured we can kind of give you updates on what's going on. And if the storm decided to intensify a little bit from a rotation standpoint, we would be sitting on it. The severe thunderstorm, you got to be prepared right now. Worthington, Anchorage, I think Simpsonville for winds to 60 miles an hour. I think pennies are possible again. This is crossed over out of Indiana now, basically into Kentucky. So our initial severe weather threat for Indiana is down some right now, but watch as I take you out on a perspective here. This is the initial batch. We kind of waited for that secondary area to develop, and that actually has finally occurred right now. So we've got this secondary area that's developed now that's basically coming out of central Indiana. This one extends from Seymour through Terre Haute. Now, while we're not looking at widespread severe on it at this point, we could get some severe along this line. Jude, you know, this was kind of discussed earlier as potentially being one of those derechos, one of those monster widespread wind events. This doesn't look like it's going to be that. I think we're talking about isolated severe as we continue to go through the night here. But with ground being so moist, from all the rain that we've seen, it's not going to take much to knock trees down, and I'm sure we're going to see power outages regardless on this line.
Yeah, I think that cell up around Terre Haute that's actually working into some of the strongest jet feature that we've even had to work with so far would bring a pretty good straight line wind potential into southern Indiana over the next 2 to 4 hours as this moves through. And if it holds together, if it does indeed intensify, this could mean a round of severe weather potentially south of Interstate 64. A lot can happen between now and then, but looking at the dynamics, you know, we've had strong wind with the jet stream to work with in the last 24 hours, but right now we're just getting into the peak of that, and I think that's helping those thunderstorms ignite out along I-70 from Effingham to Terre Haute, just now crossing the border from Illinois into Indiana. So that's going to be a hot zone to keep an eye on as we head from around 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock this morning.
And Jude, I just got an email from Troy Albert here, who's the principal of Henryville. I believe it's, I know he's the principal of the middle school and high school. Not sure if it's for the elementary, but Troy let me know. Troy and I become friends over the years after the Henryville tornado in 2012. Troy's one of my favorite people in the world. The guy's made some unbelievable decisions during one of the most stressful things I have ever seen someone go through. He just told me on the east side of Henryville, Troy and Karen, his wife, are okay and they appreciate the information that we're giving. So it's good to hear, at least that right now, that we're not getting any damage reports out of Henryville. We've obviously had our share where we've dealt with that, so I'm glad to hear from Troy. I appreciate you sending in the info, and anybody else around our area. You know, the damage, if it was to have occurred, would have occurred on the south side of Henryville. There was a small debris signature that could be kind of argued maybe was, maybe was not. Err on the side of caution in this particular case. The absolute insane lightning show continues. Northeast Louisville, Worthington through Prospect. I mean, lightning strikes that are absolutely insane, the amount. Jude, you kind of drove in through it. Jeremy was texting me earlier. Some of the lightning amounts are just unbelievable within that thunderstorm. It's 6,000 lightning strikes in an hour, just within a small cluster of storms covering basically about 6 counties in our area.
6,000 lightning strikes from around Scott County extending over towards Franklin County. There's so many lightning strikes we have to take them off.
I know, you can't even see anything.
We can't even see where it's raining or where the worst of that thunderstorm is. Severe thunderstorm warning continuing a little bit longer. Oldham County down towards Shelby County, the far western half of Shelby County, and then the eastern section and northeastern part of Jefferson County under that severe thunderstorm warning. Along I-64, if you're south of there in that severe thunderstorm warning zone, just give it a few more minutes. The heavy rain is coming, the gusty winds is coming as this moves off to the south-southeast. Crestwood getting drilled with rain. An additional inch of rain will come out of this thunderstorm. We do have a flash flood threat for most of Oldham County. As long as we can get through the next 45 minutes or so, the heaviest rain will move away and we can start to dry out. But at this point in time, possibility of hail up to an inch in diameter, gusty winds along I-71 extending down to the south, the southern half of Oldham County, picking up some gusty winds and the possibility of some of that hail. You
know, Jude, if the sun was up right now, we would see an incredible shelf cloud moving across Louisville. You could see really basically from downtown where this little green area is, we've got that shelf that would be moving through the city here. I'm sure, again, if the sun was up, it would be an amazing sight. From a rotation standpoint, the storm has kind of gone up and down at times. The strongest rotation that we saw was near the Henryville area. The storm appears to have fired an outflow that has moved through Louisville here. I mentioned again that shelf cloud. The reason this outflow is important is the storm has kind of maybe now centered itself into some of that cooler air. When you have an outflow that moves out ahead of a storm, cold air will cut the storm off from some of the warmer, more humid, more unstable air. However, that outflow doesn't appear to have affected right now extreme eastern part of Jefferson County, so areas like Fisherville, Simpsonville, so the extreme western part of Shelby County. I think you still have the potential, the greatest potential of seeing some severe weather. The good thing is the rotation. Jude's been looking at Storm View 3D. Jude, I'm going to come over to you on that. It looks like from what I'm seeing on there, we're looking at more straight line wind threat. It really doesn't look like anything out there jumps out at me as rotating, or at least rotating hard.
No, the winds, where the red and greens together in Oldham County, it's almost like the winds are just coming out of the backside of that thunderstorm and moving away from that thunderstorm in Oldham County, and it's just a large area of gusty winds. Not necessarily even a lot of indication of necessarily destructive winds, but some gusty winds, easily 40, 45 miles per hour that can be occurring there. And then a few isolated pockets where there could be the chance for those severe thunderstorm characteristic winds closer to 55 and 60 miles per hour. And something that I think is important to pass along. Yesterday I was speaking to a guy that works in our sales department. He came down and saw the line of thunderstorms moving in. And he said, well, there we go. Everyone's going to get these 60 mile per hour winds. And it was like, well, you know, you have to remember when you get severe thunderstorm winds, it usually only impacts a neighborhood here or a neighborhood there. It's not like every single person in that severe thunderstorm warning is going to experience winds up and over 60 miles per hour. It is very localized when you talk about the chance for seeing some damage or trees blown down.
Mm-hmm. And I think the area of greatest concern is going to be the eastern side of Jefferson County and really Simpsonville right now. The storm's heading basically right at Simpsonville. I think wind gusts to 60 miles an hour are possible for you. I don't think the threat of a destructive event really is out there. I think we're talking about more of where we're going to see winds to around 60 miles an hour. On top of the fact that we have the saturated grounds, that would increase that threat that we could get tree damage here. And we got a lot of reports as the storms moved through Louisville that there was some tree damage on the initial line that moved through there in the afternoon yesterday. We've got storms right now coming out of central Illinois, and these will have to be watched for the rest of the night. I really want to be clear on this one point. These storms are going to move towards the metro, and they're going to do that near the drive to work tomorrow. It is not going to take much, at best case, to cause major ponding on the roadways, and at worst case, to cause flash flooding. With the line of thunderstorms near Terre Haute moving towards Bedford, line of thunderstorms near Bloomington heading off towards the south-southeast, that's what we're going to have to watch here during the morning commute. And Jude, with that potentially coming through during the morning commute, we could see real issues in the Louisville area.
Yeah, you know, the one thing that I'm hoping for on this, Mark, is this guy kind of keeps moving a little bit farther to the south and southwest, because if this would set up one extensive line that starts to build in and impact locations from Madison back down through, say, Crestwood into Oldham County, where they've already seen 1 to 3 inches of rain, we will have a massive flash flood situation on our hand. This should continue to back build a little bit and move down to the south and southwest a little bit to more of a centering point here into Louisville Metro and into southern Indiana. But this is riding in on a very fast low and mid-level jet stream. This severe thunderstorm that we're finding crossing the border coming out of Illinois into western Indiana up around Vincennes and Terre Haute has some high wind, straight line wind potential as it moves off to the south and southeast. This guy will be cruising along at around 50 miles per hour, and it should link up and absolutely make for a messy commute for a lot of Kentuckiana. Even if it isn't in downtown Louisville at 7 o'clock, there's going to be heavy rain and thunderstorms somewhere in the vicinity as we watch a lot of building now. You know, look up towards Seymour and Bloomington, up around the campus of IU, thunderstorms exploding in coverage. This is not a good thing to see, as it's really starting to ramp up in coverage right now. That severe thunderstorm warning continues for eastern sections of Jefferson County, up around Simpsonville into Shelby County, near Shelbyville. That thunderstorm keeps its path, taking it off to the south and southeast. There's the lightning. I mean, so much lightning when we put it on there, it's like the rain has disappeared. No, the rain's still there. It's just we're looking at around 7,000 lightning strikes in this particular one thunderstorm cluster as it's been tracking off to the south and southeast. There's Interstate 64. It's just now heading onto I-64 with the heaviest rain. If you have maybe a third shift or something and you work late at night, early morning, and you have to travel, if you can wait just another 20 to 30 minutes for this thunderstorm to move south of I-64, conditions will be a whole lot better than what we're about to see with the gusty winds on the leading edge of that, and even embedded in some of these heavier downpours for Shelby County all the way over towards Anchorage are some gusty winds in those torrential downpours moving off to the south and southeast. Normandy, 16 minutes. Harrisonville, 25 minutes. Wayside, 35 minutes. These are the times that we estimate some of the worst conditions moving in. Downtown Louisville, I-65 taking you into Bullitt County. We have some gusty winds, outflow winds with that boundary represented by this green, but we're mainly dry. We're not going to get a severe thunderstorm from Louisville down into Bullitt County from this. Our potential show for Louisville Metro would be coming out along that Illinois-Indiana border that we're still a couple hours away but I would expect at some point this boundary that we're seeing set up will start to spark some new thunderstorm, and that is the pathway for new storms to form and fire up and really track right towards there. And that's why we're watching in this zone up around the Wabash River.
You know, that's a good cluster here. And when you look at the lightning strikes here, those strikes, Jude, came up really fast. That's something you alluded to earlier. But watch as I go back, basically, I'll take it back an hour or so, and you look near Bloomington, and there's virtually no lightning strikes. And then all of a sudden, you just get this explosion of thunderstorms. Now, the reason lightning forms is because that air is rising within those thunderstorms so quickly. This is just going to tap into some of the wind energy we have aloft, and there is a lot of wind energy aloft, especially for the month of July. So that extra wind energy aloft here for this time of the year, with basically a very, very, very fuel-rich scenario, is going to continue to pretty severe weather as we go through the night. And you know what, that's the reason. It's 3:04 in the morning. Our kind of philosophy on this one was, once the tornado warning expired, traditionally what we do is we don't cut in unless we deem a threat to life and property. I don't know that we're looking at a great threat in that particular scenario. At the same time, what we do feel like is it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're waking up to a crazy lightning show. Since you are, we kind of just thought, why not just cut in? We can give you the updates, the information as the storms are moving across your area, and not, you know, really, I don't even know what's on at 3 a.m. I'm going to have to find out now that we've talked about it so much here. Just so you know here, we are monitoring social media, so if you're looking, if you want to give us information on Twitter about what's going on in your area, and we also do a kind of behind-the-scenes broadcast on Periscope, so you can watch that way as well. The reason I mention these is if you ever were to lose power, you'd have multiple ways to actually stay in touch with us still on what's going on across the area. The main area of thunderstorms right now, there's 2 clusters here that we're interested in. Storms that are in the northern part of our area, about to move back into the Bedford-Seymour area. Just insane lightning strikes will continue on those storms. And then we've got this one severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect here for Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby County until 3:10 a.m. So we've got about another 4 minutes or so for that. Storms Prediction Center looks like they may have issued a new severe thunderstorm watch to replace the old one. Let me go to the severe thunderstorm watch. What I do want to find out is this one going until...
Possibly extending it, maybe?
Well, they said, they used the word replace here. This is going until 7 a.m. So basically what they have done is use the current severe thunderstorm watch, replace those exact counties, and really kind of extended it until 7. So we've got a severe thunderstorm watch for another 4 hours now until 7 a.m. This does include the Louisville area and includes a good chunk of our area. You can see those counties are populating here on there. Does not include Lawrence, Jackson, or Jennings County, but includes the core of our area, including all of our metro counties for another 4 hours of severe thunderstorm watch.
Mark, as we go back to StormView HD radar, we sort of have this hot zone drawn in here where there should be some development over the next couple of hours. We're watching those storms come out of southern and central Indiana back through central Illinois. Most of the thunderstorms, at least the worst part of the storms with the blinding rain, the strong wind potential, possibility of some hail, and embedded weak rotation every now and then, will stay in this area that we have drawn in there from around Louisville up towards Jasper and Ferdinand, extending all the way towards Bloomington and Seymour. Some of these spots, now, while we were sleeping, some of these spots have picked up a few inches of rain. And we really need to watch.
Did you say sleeping?
You'll get your rest here shortly. From Seymour to Madison, you know, that's that zone, Mark, where if we get these storms to backbuild and work over those same locations, you don't want to beat it too much because it hasn't happened yet, but you know, you start to talking about another 1 to 3 inches of rain potentially, and the flash flood situation will be highlighted significantly.
And the timing is bad too. I mean, we're really talking near the morning commute for Louisville on that second batch. I mean, that, you know, as you mentioned, on top of significant rain, we'll get another area. It's not going to take much, at least cause significant ponding on the roadways. And then, as Jude mentioned, worst case scenario is a flash flood threat. There's a lot of rain within these. The rain rates have been obscene in them. Rain rates have exceeded 2 to 3 inches per hour at times here. And we can actually take a look at some of those rainfall rates here across our area and kind of query some of those so we can see actually how hard that rain is coming down. But it has been coming down at a crazy rate here. Highest rainfall rates right now within the thunderstorm. StormView HD is estimating some of these rain rates over 5 inches an hour. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to see 5 inches because that rain is not going to be falling at that rate, for the full hour, but it means that, you know, you can get ponding on those roadways really, really quickly. Wind gusts to 60 miles an hour right now, moving through the Finchville area. So this is now past our severe thunderstorm warning. It is now moving towards the southern part of Shelby County and towards northern Spencer County. Jude showing the cluster of thunderstorms off to the north. This is a secondary area that we're going to have to watch as that moves across our area. These things are rocketing off to the south and east within a jet that's pretty powerful. So 12 minutes from now in the Owen area, 17 minutes from now in the Brownstown area, and then 34 minutes from now it'll be in Madison. Madison's already seen significant flash flooding during the nighttime hours. I remain concerned that you will see more flooding. The latest on the severe thunderstorm, on the flash flood watch covers our whole area, and then flash flood warnings are just blanketing our northeast areas. So we've got a flash flood warning for Jefferson County in Indiana, Jennings, Scott, Clark County. We cross over the river Carroll, Trimble, Oldham, Shelby, and Henry County, all under flash flood warnings, and those extend through the Lexington metro area here. So the flash flood threat is significant, and it's real, in particular north and east of Louisville, and that's going to continue to be somewhat of an issue even as we go through that morning commute tomorrow morning, Jude.
Mark, and it looks like the severe thunderstorm warning has just expired.
They just did expire.
So that has expired. So getting you caught up, it's 3:10 in the morning. We know a lot of people are waking up just because it's so loud and noisy with the constant thunder outside. It's 3:10. We have a severe thunderstorm watch that blankets most of Kentuckiana. We don't have any warnings in play. We did have a tornado warning a while ago that sparked the possibility of some rotating winds that were moving through Scott County near Henryville into Clark County. That cell has moved south of Oldham County now. We don't have any warnings in effect. There is a strong thunderstorm that is going to center itself through Shelby County for the next 15 to 30 minutes. There's new thunderstorms heading down into Lawrence, Jackson, and Jennings County. There's more thunderstorms developing along the Illinois-Indiana border. We have a heavy rain threat. We have a flash flood threat. The lightning show is out of this world.
It is.
You know, I think as it stays at now 3:11 in the morning on this Tuesday, we're going to watch the potential of severe weather, but at this point in time, no warnings.
Right.
Do you want to stay on air a little bit longer or kind of regroup in a little bit? Or?
You know, I think since we have no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for our area here, the severe thunderstorm watch, again, new counties coming in. The only county not in this severe thunderstorm watch are two, Jennings County and Carroll County, not under a severe thunderstorm watch. Rest of our area through 7 a.m. under a severe thunderstorm watch. What we're going to do here is head back to programming for a little while. If we do get another warning, we'll update you, and we'll also be active on social media. I'm Mark Weinberg, WX, Mark Weinberg with a C, Mark with a C on Twitter, on Facebook. We'll have updates there. And as we get more warnings here in our area, we will cut back in and let you know what's going on. Keep it right here on WDRB for continuing weather updates.
Well, it's 4:41 in the morning. We're tracking severe thunderstorms throughout Kentuckiana. We're looking at severe thunderstorm warnings for all counties highlighted in orange. This extends right down into Jefferson County. Let me show you the radar and what's ongoing right now as we track these severe thunderstorms, as we talk about the damaging wind potential rising dramatically. Some of these winds could be up and over 60 miles per hour. Jefferson County, Oldham County, Shelby County, Henry, Trimble County, right back up into Clark County, extending into Washington County. That severe weather potential does exist right now as we watch these thunderstorms move rapidly to the southeast around 50 to 55 miles per hour. The number of lightning strikes in the last 30 minutes now up to 16,000 just in our viewing area. We have every kind of weather hazard that you can pretty much dream up. We have the electrical hazard. We have the flash flood potential where some locations from Oldham County to Henry, Trimble, and Jefferson County up in southern Indiana have already seen 1 to 3 inches of rain. Add on another 1 to 2 inches. Flash flooding is a big-time concern as we go from Clark County down into Jefferson County right now. The worst of the thunderstorms just about to enter into the picture. Now for Clark, Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby County, that severe thunderstorm warning extends until around 5 o'clock in the morning. This guy is moving quickly. Anytime thunderstorms move that swiftly, it's easy to get down some of those winds aloft to the surface. Now we're going to look inside the thunderstorms and actually try to pinpoint some of the stronger areas of wind. Up around Borden and Starlight, this has prompted that severe thunderstorm warning. Winds could gust 50 to 60 miles per hour there, right along 111. This is moving to the south-southeast, so some of the stronger winds will start to move down Interstate 65 from mile marker 10, right down towards Jeffersonville over the next 15 to 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes. Also, right on top of Prospect, there's winds blowing in on the south side of the Ohio River at this point. These will keep moving towards the Gene Snyder and eventually move right down the Gene Snyder from mile marker 29 down towards 20 and eventually down towards the Bullitt-Jefferson County line. We have severe thunderstorms gradually moving from LaGrange down towards Crestwood, northern Shelby County. Starting to see the indication of some of those stronger winds embedded in some very heavy rain. You're going to get 2 gusts of winds on the leading edge before it starts to pour down rain. And then when we start to get some of those torrential downpours, it will help bring down some of those stronger winds aloft. Prospect, it is absolutely pouring down rain. And this is the kind of rain you can't see across the street. This is the kind of rain where it's too dangerous to even travel in. Once again, talking about severe thunderstorm warning extending until 5:05 for Clark, Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby County. In Shelbyville, we're just about get into the worst of this particular thunderstorm as it keeps moving down to the south and southeast. Here's the latest storm tracker as we watch this move down into Bullitt County. You know, from Shepherdsville over towards Brooks and Mount Washington along I-65. Well, it's not that bad at this stage of the game. Looks like by around 5 o'clock to 5:15, travel will not be recommended, and we're going to look at the possibility of some severe weather moving in. As we extend over towards Spencer and Nelson County, Taylorsville, Bardstown in the path of a severe thunderstorm, Shepherdsville in around 20 minutes, Cox's Creek in around 27 minutes, and I would go on and estimate this storm moving even farther down to the south and southeast. So if you're watching from Springfield, Washington, Marion counties, we're going to be in the path of strong thunderstorms, if not severe thunderstorms, over the next 45 to 60 minutes. We'll take you back over the last few hours, how everything has evolved. Right now, we don't see a lot of indications for a lot of tornadic rotating thunderstorms, but certainly strong winds that could be up to 60 or 70 miles per hour with a few of these severe thunderstorms. We have the severe thunderstorm watch that extends from Louisville back down towards E-Town. Now, some locations that haven't had the rain in the overnight still have plenty of instability, and that extends all the way down towards the Western Kentucky Parkway up towards Jasper. So new thunderstorms would most likely ignite on this boundary, almost a mini cold front, as it continues its journey down to the south. But currently, we're watching severe thunderstorms move right through the metro. The big threats right now damaging straight line winds that could exceed 60 miles per hour. I don't see a lot of indications of large destructive hail, but flash flooding because of the torrential rain is pretty much a given. It's 4:46. As we get some new warnings, we will break in before we start our show at 5 o'clock this morning. WDRB in the morning starts at 5 o'clock. But this is your latest radar update as we track these severe thunderstorms down to the south. Any new warnings come out, we'll break in and let you know. We'll see you in a few minutes. Good morning. I'm meteorologist Jude Redfield. A lot of people waking up right now because of the thunder. We have severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing right now because of the damaging wind threat as these storms dive bomb down to the southeast. They are essentially heat-seeking missiles looking for the most warm, unstable atmosphere that has not been tapped. So some of these storms will actually start moving almost due south and back building to the west, where we haven't had any rowdy weather in the overnight. Severe thunderstorm warnings for Louisville Metro. This extends now down into Bullitt County. I want to take you through each hazard, beginning with the lightning. This is just insane. In the last 30 to 60 minutes, just boxed in our viewing area, about 15,000 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. Obviously, travel is not recommended right now. If we can just hold off a couple more hours, we will get rid of the worst of these thunderstorms and look so much better once we get to 7:30, 8, and 8:30 this morning. But if you have any travel plans or anything that you're trying to get accomplished in the next hour or two to go outside, if you're from Shelby County back through Jefferson County, don't do it. It's not worth it. Severe thunderstorms with extremely heavy rain and the possibility of some of these winds that will gust up and over 60 miles per hour. Now, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Clark, Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby County for about 10 more minutes. Some of those stronger winds, there's 2 rounds of them. On the leading edge of this, even before you get in to some of the heavy rain, we can get some gust front winds up to 40 and 50 miles per hour. And then once we start to see those torrential downpours come in, it will tap into those stronger winds aloft, bring them down to the surface. So we're essentially lining up from Louisville all the way over to the state capitol into Lexington along I-64 with some of the worst of these thunderstorms as they keep their traveling trajectory down to the south and southeast. Severe thunderstorm warning again, Clark, Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby County until 5:05. We're now seeing that new severe thunderstorm warning extend down to the south for Bullitt County. This is well in advance of the heavier rain. That's because we know this thunderstorm will keep these characteristics 15, 20, 30 minutes from now, even into Spencer and Nelson County. These thunderstorms will continue with the damaging wind threat. We're looking inside the thunderstorm. Now we have green and red showing up on this radar spectrum. This is not talking rain or any precipitation. This is actually looking at the wind fields inside of the thunderstorms. Now, there's one bright spot. We don't really see anything wound up to where we're looking at tornadic activity, but you can see this stripe of green that extends along 64 from Eastwood right back into downtown Louisville of these bright shades of green. These are severe thunderstorm warning type winds where we could easily get winds 50 to 60 miles per hour as they keep moving down to the south, and I would expect some of this to keep back building. Like I was saying earlier, it's looking for the most rich atmosphere where we haven't cooled it just yet in Bullitt County. And all sections down along 65 farther to the south haven't had any heavy rain and thunderstorms in the overnight, so we are primed to get some strong to severe thunderstorms as these guys keep moving down to the south. Bardstown, 10 to 15 minutes from now, heavy rain's going to be moving in. The storm motion is around 50 to 55 miles per hour. So let's look at Fairdale. We have a minute or two before it starts to hit. Bardstown, 10 to 15 minutes. Mackville, 20 minutes. We mentioned Springfield earlier. While we're 20 to 25 minutes away down in Springfield, we don't have a lot of time to react to this because these storms are moving so quickly and actually really starting to accelerate with that forward momentum. Lebanon, in around 33 minutes, we'll get into some heavy rain. We really haven't touched much on the flash flooding as of yet, but that is another hazard. We're going to get a 1 to 2 inch round of rain from Oldham County, Henry County, back through Franklin County, Shelby County, and most of Jefferson County. Now, in the overnight, a lot of us went to bed and thunderstorms started to pop up from Madison right over towards Bedford, Kentucky. Some spots up in Henry County exceeding 4 and 5 inches of rain. So we play add-on, give another inch or two with this. The flash flood risk is real. Now, we have a severe thunderstorm watch that will keep us going for the next few hours. We're saying the better chance for severe thunderstorms from 6 to 7 to 8 o'clock this morning will be a bit farther down to the south as we close in on the parkways. And you can see how it's really setting up. This arc, which has exploded down into eastern Kentucky, now starting to back build into that atmosphere with temperatures still in the 80s, still with all of this humidity and just high content of moisture in the atmosphere, which will fuel new thunderstorms. We'll call this somewhat of a mini cold front as it moves down to the south, touching off new thunderstorms. So if you're watching from E-Town, Fort Knox, Radcliffe, all the way through E-Town and Hardin County, I would say be ready for the possibility of some strong to potentially severe thunderstorms as we continue over the next 30 to 60 minutes. Just in the last 24 hours, west of I-65, it's been relatively quiet. But you want to talk about some rain amounts, the farther east and northeast of 65 you get. This is why we say the flash flood threat is real, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches, and then we'll add on that additional inch or two. We've had some reports earlier this morning of some possible flood rescues taking place up across sections of Henry County. I would say now back down through Oldham County. This is going to be a zone to pay attention to. Storm reports in the last 24 hours. That widespread wind event that set up yesterday morning in northern Indiana moved all the way down into the Carolinas. We were peppered with severe thunderstorms. This is a large system. We said it had about 3 rounds. Round 1 was yesterday. Round 2 is occurring right now. Round 3 will happen this afternoon for some of us as new storms ignite. But you know, yesterday in Shelby County, trees reported down countywide. We had a funnel cloud reported up across sections of Jennings County. Those are just a few of the storm reports in the last 24 hours, and I can guarantee you we will have a whole new slew of storm reports once we get to daylight and people can actually go outside and look around. Right now we're targeting anywhere from Louisville down along 65 into Bullitt County as we head to Spencer, Nelson County in the path of severe thunderstorms, along I-64 towards Frankfort, the worst of the thunderstorms with heavy rain, and we look at the best chance for damaging straight line winds on the leading edge of the storms before they arrive, before you get into that heavy rain, and then once you get into those downpours, that will tap into some of those higher winds aloft. Looking at the lightning strikes, still seeing about 15,000 lightning strikes. There will be so many power outages, it's just crazy. Don't forget about your phone. You can always watch us. We live stream our morning show, so you can do that, WDRB.com. We'll have all sorts of things there. If your TV is off, don't, make some calls, give some people some heads up in advance of these thunderstorms. While we don't have tornado warnings, the kind of winds that we've been exposed to, it's almost weekend kind of tornadic stuff when you're looking at the possibility of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. And also with the ground being so wet, we saw it yesterday, it's a lot easier to bring down some of these trees. Extremely heavy rain in Louisville, where we had the flash flooding overnight Saturday into Sunday morning, are the same spots right now picking up those rainfall rates of 6 inches per hour. We're not going to get 6 inches of rain in eastern Jefferson County, but in 30 to 45 minutes, we could pick up 2, maybe 3 inches of rain. So some flash flooding could definitely occur in Jefferson County and some of those spots that have seen the heaviest rain going back from overnight Saturday into Sunday morning. Oldham County, another 15 to 20 minutes with the worst of that thunderstorm. Severe thunderstorm warnings extending down into Bullitt County as this moves down to the south. We really bring it into the Louisville metro area. I can say some good news from Floyd to Clark County. We're just about finished with that, but for a few more minutes, we'll keep severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing. Clark, Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby County. These bright colors of orange and red just telling us that the rain is out of control, the kind of rain amounts that we're going to pick up in a very short period of time. Again, going back into the thunderstorms, looking at the wind speeds, a lot of times we'll show this because there might be some rotation or tornadic stuff. We're not finding that, but the reason we're showing you the wind fields is because this stripe of bright green from Louisville right over into Shelby County, now entering into Bullitt County, tells us, hey, there's definitely the indicator that there could be some strong winds, at least of 50 to 60 miles per hour. And we'll look down to the south, watching these storms getting closer and closer to Bardstown and Taylorsville. Cox's Creek, just a couple minutes away. And Radcliffe, some heavier rain starting to move in. It's now 5:03 in the morning, updating some severe thunderstorm warnings right now. While we were asleep, if you're just waking up, what has happened, we've had heavy rain and some severe thunderstorms going back through around midnight. They've trained in the same spots up here in northeastern sections of Kentuckiana, now finding their journey back to the south and back building to the south and west. So spots that haven't yet dealt with anything severe start to see their chances possibly come to fruition as we go from Louisville down through E-Town all the way over towards Tell City. This will be some of the hot spots extending over the next hour or two. We want to get you caught up with traffic. Mike Marshall's been checking out things on the roads, and I guess, if there's something good, we're getting this out of here right now. By 7 and 8 o'clock, Mike, most of this heavy rain will be south of Louisville Metro.
Yeah, I think this is one of those days, Jude, where you have to use the phrase, don't drown, turn around, because of the heavy rain. We're getting hammered, as you mentioned, over in Trimble, Henry, Oldham County. We have a lot of roads that are underwater. We've had some mudslides up around Madison near State Road 56, and then up near Telegraph Hill. And, of course, we had heavy flooding locally out on the roadways. It was very tricky trying to get into downtown this morning. We had standing water on the roadway. So that's what, if you're heading out anywhere on the interstates this morning, hydroplaning is a big problem because we do have a lot of standing water out on the interstates this morning. So once again, turn around, don't drown. If you see that high water, you'll need to make plans to make another detour and get into work to make another route. From the Oxmoor Auto Group Traffic Center, I'm Mike Marshall with Beat the Traffic.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. We want to report some power outages at this hour. LG&E customers, we have reports 3,983 customers are without power. That includes in Jefferson County, 233 PRP areas, Shively and Audubon Park. We'll get you a map of that momentarily.
511 continuing to talk about the severe thunderstorms just raking Kentuckiana right now. Louisville Metro over towards Lexington. I-64 all points to the south in the path of potentially damaging straight line winds that could exceed 60 miles per hour. This is round 2. We still have one more potential round later on this afternoon. We told you they'd come in multiple waves. Let's begin this radar tour as we watch heavy rain and thunderstorms continue to drive their way down to the south and southeast. Louisville Metro, Bullitt County, most locations still dealing with the possibility of this severe thunderstorm. We want to run by all of the in particular hazards that we have to really just deal with over the next hour or two. First, the lightning, about 13,000 lightning strikes in the viewing area. Power outages continuing to be updated there. So we'll let you know in a few minutes exactly the latest count from LG&E. As we head along I-64 into Shelby County, extremely heavy rain right now down towards Bullitt County, Spencer County, and this will eventually move towards Willisburg, Washington, and Marion County. We'll watch severe thunderstorms move at you until 5:30, about 20 more minutes for Bullitt and southern Jefferson County, the possibility of damaging straight-line winds. Now, inside these thunderstorms, we don't see a high probability of large destructive hail. I haven't had many reports of hail. I think it's the wind and the heavy rain that will continue to be the greatest impact that's staring us down. Up into Oldham County, where we've seen some of the heaviest rain, anywhere from 2 to 5 inches. We're about finished with the heaviest rain with this last batch to move on through. So if you can just wait another 30 minutes, it'll look a lot better. But we have a severe thunderstorm warning for sections of Jefferson, Shelby, Spencer County until 5:20 this morning. There is the possibility of some strong winds now along I-64 and points to the south, where we're seeing some indication of some straight line winds embedded in this thunderstorm. And I want to take you inside the storms. We're not really seeing any rotation. We did have one tornado warning a few hours ago that was in play for Clark County back up to around southern Scott County. We haven't had any tornado warnings since then, but we're looking at these winds really just ramp up and move down to the south. They have an intensification process that we've seen take place for the last 30 to 45 minutes as they move now into Bullitt County. And what we're seeing is everything tailing back to the west and moving down to the south. And there is a good reason that's occurring. A lot of these spots east of I-65 have already cooled the atmosphere. We've had multiple rounds of heavy rain and storms while we were in bed. Locations from Bullitt County back towards Meade County, Breckenridge County, down through Hardin County, we've had nothing. We haven't had much at all, so the atmosphere is prime. So these thunderstorms are actually moving down to the south and back building to the west. Some of the stronger winds that we just saw on that velocity has been noted now in Bullitt County and will keep moving down towards Hardin County along 65. All of these areas that are kind of boxed in by these orange shades here, that's where we have severe thunderstorm warnings. The latest storm tracker shows this moving towards Bardstown in a couple minutes, Springfield 20 to 25 minutes. And I know in Lebanon we're still about a half an hour away, but it's going to be there. This is not going to weaken. This will hold together. At the very least, we're going to deal with a strong thunderstorm, possibly a severe thunderstorm, as it moves down to the south, impacting locations such as Washington, Marion County, and then even an hour from now, Greene County, and then down through Taylor and Adair County. So all the way down towards Columbia, we're expecting some of these strong, possibly severe thunderstorms. But watch them back build. This radar loop takes you back over the last few hours from Lexington to Louisville, severe thunderstorms, and now starting to see those lightning strikes keep tailing and tailing. So even into Grayson County, I would expect the chance for some strong to severe thunderstorms. This box here in blue represents that severe thunderstorm watch, and that's the reason we have the watch box in effect in the spots that haven't had any severe weather just yet, because the atmosphere is primed. We have tons of heat. We're waking up in the 80s for parts of southern sections of Kentucky. Let me run through the latest flash flood warnings. You want to pay attention to the counties that are highlighted in red. From Jefferson County along I-65 into southern Indiana, all points to the east, flash flood warnings. These are some of the spots that have already picked up anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of rain. Those are the latest flash flood warnings. We look outside, standing water. I do expect improvements around Louisville Metro as we get to the height of the morning commute. Between 7 and 8 o'clock this morning, most of this heavy rain will be over, but there's still going to be a lot of standing water because it's just coming down too hard. We can't have good drainage with this kind of tropical rain. We don't get good drainage because of all the heavy rain that we've dealt with over the last few weeks. Here's a quick look at your forecast today. It's going to look outside and see some nice sunshine at times as we head towards midday. The clouds break, but remember, some of that self-destructive sunshine again won't necessarily be a good thing as temperatures climb into the low 90s. Another weak cold front later on this afternoon and tonight, sparking thunderstorms this afternoon. A couple thunderstorms could be severe. I don't think we're looking at the same magnitude as what we had yesterday or what we're seeing right now, but still the chance for a few severe thunderstorm warnings later on this afternoon. But during the daytime hours, clouds break up and plenty of time to go out there and enjoy a little summer sunshine, Mike. But right now, What a wicked storm complex. Yikes.
Yeah, I was coming in, I was amazed at how much standing water there was on the interstate coming in. So that's one of our problems locally this morning. Of course, we've had flooding issues. Jude mentioned the drains are getting clogged up. You have everything from leaves and sticks and twigs, and they're clogging up the drains. Then we get more water on the roadways. And then, of course, hydroplaning becomes a big problem on the interstates. Now, I'm talking about heavy water on the interstate. We have one semi that jackknifed this morning already. This is on northbound 65, just as you're getting into Cardinal Curve. And we'll take a look at the interstate here. All right, here's northbound 65. You can see right in this area where we have some problems. Looks like right here is where we had that semi jackknife. So traffic is already backed up. Looks like we may have one lane open. We're going to have to check on that. But in the meantime, you can see where traffic is backed up out in front of Old Cardinal Stadium. We'll take a look. Here's out in front of the horse barns where traffic is starting to stack up there. So that's going to be one of our problem spots. Just keep in mind, you're going to have to back that speed down with all of this heavy rain and water out on the interstates this morning. From the Oxmoor Auto Group Traffic Center, I'm Mike Marshall with Beat the Traffic.
Mike, thank you. On the phone with us this morning is the Madison Police Chief, Dan Thurston. He joins us to talk about some of the problems they're having there. Madison has been especially hard hit by this weather because it has caused 2 major mudslides in town.
Police Chief Thurston, what can you tell us about the mudslides and the water rescues near the downtown area this morning?
Well, we did have 2 water rescues in the area of Jefferson Street and Moody Park Lane. It's an area that has flooded in the past. However, it's the most severe flooding that I've ever witnessed in my career with the Madison Police Department. We also had 2 mudslides that closed 2 different areas of roadway in town, and we had some great work by our volunteer fire department, our Jefferson County EMA, and countless volunteers with the Salvation Army that came out to help with these water rescues.
With the mudslides, where are you taking people who have either been rescued or evacuated as a result of these problems?
We have a church in town, the North Madison Christian Church, have opened their doors for a point for us to take people to, and the Salvation Army has volunteered their transport van to transport all victims to that location, and they've provided a shelter at that church.
Now, these 2 mudslides, can you give us an exact location in an area of town that people need to avoid?
Yes, one is in the area of East Street and Telegraph Hill Road, and then the other is on the west end of town where Main Street leaves town and starts to turn into State Road 56 near Dr. Kennedy's dentist office.
Okay, Chief Thurston, thank you so much for joining us this morning just to give us an update on what's happening in Madison. We hope to be able to bring people some live pictures of the efforts there as well. Good to know that so far they've been able to rescue the folks who are having trouble. And as he mentioned, Salvation Army is providing some transportation for people who have to leave their homes, and the North Madison Christian Church is providing shelter. I'm
going to switch gears for a second. This just in, MetroSafe confirming a semi-jackknife on Interstate 65 North near Crittenton Drive. We're gathering more information on that at this hour.
Mike Marshall's on it.
Let's get right to the radar as we track severe thunderstorms now moving south of Louisville Metro. The worst of the thunderstorms are really taking aim across Spencer, Nelson County, and eventually Washington and Marion County, where we look at that high wind threat. Bullitt County right now seeing heavy rain and gusty winds. Parts of Bullitt County are experiencing some winds in excess of 45 miles per hour. That's a given. Until 5:30, Bullitt, Jefferson County, severe thunderstorm warning. A couple more minutes. The latest severe thunderstorm warning to come out runs until 5:40 for another part of Bullitt County, far southern and southeastern sections of Bullitt County, Nelson, Spencer, Washington County, as we see this move. It's just now heading into Willisburg, and you'll get 2 areas of wind on the leading edge before you get into that heavy rain. Wind speeds on that gust front could be 40 to 45 miles per hour. And then underneath those torrential downpours is when you can tap into some of those winds aloft and bring down some damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. As we look inside the thunderstorms, we're finding some of the brighter greens showing up in Bullitt County, telling us that's the zone where we have the highest potential at this point for that wind threat. Nothing that's circulating. We don't see any chances of tornadoes with the latest radar scan, which is great news. In the path, St. Mary, Lebanon, Saloma, and Campbellsville, it's moving in. It's coming in hot. There's nothing to stop this stuff. We have another hour or two with strong to potentially severe thunderstorms as they watch the back-building process move towards E-Town. Even Breckenridge County, Grayson County will eventually get into the heavy rain and the chance for some severe weather. Flash flooding is another topic. While we were asleep, just crushed with heavy rain in the last 12 to 24 hours, from Louisville and I-65 to the east and northeast, radar estimating anywhere from 3 to about 6 inches of rain, and that's why flash flooding from Madison down through Bedford all the way over towards Newcastle is the real deal, Mike.